an 8. And welcome to BitBoy Crypto, home of the BitSquad. My name is TJ from Hit Network. BitSquad is the largest and greatest crypto community in all the interwebs. We're going to have a great show for you guys today. I'm sorry as the show was going, I was watching Ben violently fix his hair before we got live.
So I was prepared. I was prepared.
I felt like I was watching a 80s heartthrob movie where the guy's like violently trying to get ready to go for the date before the girl catches him. So, but yeah, we're gonna have a really good show today. We've got CryptoFace, who was bullish as of at least this morning. We'll see how he's feeling today. Backed by popular demand, we've got Gareth from In the Money Stocks. Fresh back from vacation with the fresh hair, getting ready for you guys. Ben, BitBoy Crypto, and as always, trying to keep us all sane and nice. And the mom of the show, CryptoWendyO, joining us here today, always with a positive, fresh attitude and face, and lots of great things to say. So we're going to have a great show. We've got a lot of action over the weekend. We had a lot of bullish activity. Prices were going up. We hit 45K, broke the 200-day moving average, met a little bit of resistance, but things are feeling pretty bullish overall right now. We've kind of pulled back a little bit for a quick market watch. We'll look at CoinMarketCap real quick. I think we had Raven Coin as one of the top pumpers. We've got Chili's, ICP, Cello, Litecoin, all of that stuff pumping really strong today. So we've got the volume ticking back up. The market cap 1.8 trillion now, volume back over 100 billion. So things are looking strong and bullish. But I wanted to start with you, CryptoFace. Are you looking at any indicators? We know the 200-day moving average has kind of established itself as a little bit of resistance. Maybe it's a floor. The RSI getting back into the money flow a little bit. So what is it you're seeing on the charts that gets your attention? Anything jumping out at you right now?
Yeah, man. A number of things. Honestly, the from the daily, the money flow on the daily is just breaking into the green and just had a nice circular structure. I mean, it's been really building since the 6 hour. The RSIs look really good. It looks like it has room, and despite even if I'm wrong, if it never comes back down. I don't mind being wrong, but not saying it's not going to happen. But yeah, no, man. I mean, there's no argument. This move's been crazy. I certainly didn't really see that much. I didn't see that much of a move up coming like this. It might be kind of like the first time it's happened as far as like breaking on the 200-day and having it come up so much. I'll have to double check on that, but. Yeah, man. A lot of people have been doing really good. There's a couple patterns that Bitcoin and Ethereum have pegged that it's starting to repeat that I've snagged onto. So yippee-yo-ki-yay for the crypto space, man. Hopefully everyone's getting paid.
Yeah, there you go. I'm actually going to come back to you with another question about the RSA, but I forgot to mention, if you guys are new to the show, you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner of each guest box, there is a score section there. So if you like what you're hearing from any of the guests, drop a +1 in the chat. I'll know to give them an extra point. And as always, the links to all of the guest channels are in the description below, so be sure to go check them out. Subscribe to their channel. Show them some BitSquad love. They all make really, really good content, and you could all learn a lot and probably change your lives for the better from watching what these guys have to say. But back to you, Face. I wanted to talk to you about the RSI. It is showing being a little bit overbought now. And can you explain for people at home, like, why is that a good thing, or why is that a metric that some people look at? And is there any time frames that you look at that on more than others?
Well, for me, like where the RSI is at right now, right when it just starts showing that it's overbought. I mean, there can be plenty. It can stay maxed at the charts for a long time. The RSI was maxed out for almost a full year from our full run up. And when it dropped down to 30K, it was all the way down for 2 months. And so it's just went right up, all the way up high again. There's a couple times in the past, after these big dumps where it goes up to where it is now and boom, comes right back down. But also there's times where it comes all the way up and it stays there for a while. So RSIs, are good and in certain, like, I don't put everything just in the RSI. Mm-hmm. And the RSIs right now aren't telling me that it's for sure going to stay one way or the other. I mean, I can't give you like an answer off the RSI of which way I think it's going to go, because I don't really know. But yeah, man, it just hit that max level, so we'll see if it stays. Sorry, I can't give you like a affirmative answer on it.
No, that was great. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, you can't predict the future, so I can't ask you to do that. But Ben, I want to come to you with this one. Over the weekend, you were talking about a key level of resistance being 44,000. We seem to have broken that with pretty strong momentum up to 45, even touched 46 on some exchanges. So 45,000 approximately being the 200-day moving average. It seems like we're hovering around there right now. So do you see that as setting up as like a support going forward? And then we've also got kind of a two-part question, $50,000 being a pretty big psychological resistance level. So I want to hear your thoughts on kind of where you think we're going in the near term. Does 45 seem strong to you? And do you think there's going to be any significant resistance at 50?
I don't think 45 seems really that strong yet. We haven't had enough time to really test it yet. So we'll kind of have to see, what happens here. But I think I look at 42.5. I mean, a lot of people, back when we were in the peak of the bull run, phase one, a lot of people said, 42,000 was a very significant number. And when we broke 42,000, it was very dangerous. And that's where we went from about 42,000 all the way down to 28,000 or 29,000, whatever it was, in just a few hours back in May. So for me, what's been really interesting is on the way back up, it actually seems like the number wasn't 42,000. It seemed like it was 42,500. That seems it would get up to 42 and then it would go to 42.5 and then drop. So I really look at that 42,500 level. I would have no problem with Bitcoin dropping down to that level and bouncing back up. I think that would be fairly healthy. I don't think it's important for us to stay above the 200-day moving average as long as ultimately we get above it. So if we play around that moving average for a little bit of time, that doesn't scare me. That doesn't bother me. I don't think like we have to immediately go up. I mean, look at how strong it has been on this run up. And I know that, you mentioned to CryptoFace that he can't tell the future. Well, if you watch this channel, we did tell the future. We told you exactly what was coming. Even when it wasn't popular to do so, we told you phase 2 was coming. We told you it was coming.
This time, bro. You got lucky.
That's what they'll always say. They'll always say you got lucky, but look back at the confidence in which I said that. And I still have that confidence. We're going to $100,000 and we're going there quickly. This is not going to be an extended until February of 2022 run. We're about to see this thing go parabolic. So when we look at $50,000, I think it's very possible, but that by the end of this weekend or the end of next weekend, we could be breaking $50,000. And then it won't be long before we get close to 60. I think by the end of this month, there's a very strong chance we're somewhere between $55,000 and $65,000. And that sets us up for one last month of parabolic action as we watch the price go up to $100,000.
Yeah, I will say one thing. I don't think anybody's ever accused you of not being confident and not delivering your stuff with confidence.
Well,
so,
thank you.
Yeah.
I was joking too, for the record's sake. The honest truth is, so you've been killing it, man. You called it that week, and you said it was going to go down one more time, then start heading up. And so right now, you and your guy that you got are kicking butt. And
what? I got a guy. What can I say?
Yeah, you're doing good, man. I'm proud of you. Good
yeah,
you.
It is good, and we'd all love to see it go back up and continue to go back up. But I want to hear from Wendy and Gareth here on this one. A little bit of kind of a different approach is we're seeing from Glassnode not a lot of old coins, meaning coins that have been held in a wallet for a year or longer. Not a lot of those are moving yet. We're also still seeing an uptick in larger wallets with more than 0.11 Bitcoin, things like that ticking up. So typically when we're seeing whales accumulating, that's when the prices are dropping. So the fact that we're still seeing whales accumulating, does that mean we still have some more movement to the downside and we may not be out of the woods yet for this bull run? I'm going to open that up to either Gareth or Wendy on your thoughts on that. Like, where do you see us going in the near term?
Do you want to go, Gareth, and then I'll take over?
I was going to let you go first, but it's up to you. You make the choice there.
I'll go ahead and I'll go. Let me go ahead and pull up my chart. Okay, so this is my chart here, same chart we've had for 9 million years. But only thing I want to say is there was just something that was announced with the bill. I'm sure we're going to talk about it on the show. One of the senators kind of held it up. I'm just a little bit cautious right now. And the reason why I'm a little bit cautious is because with this bill, we generally know that fundamentals do impact price. So that's the only thing I want to say. Last night when I did the stream, we saw a lot of bearish price action with alts. I turned out to be wrong, and I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. And I lost a little bit of money last night, which I'm not happy about, but it happens. But taking a look at like price action wise, this is beautiful. The way everything is set up, it's absolutely beautiful. And the fact that we initially retested about $42,000 we dropped down perfectly to like the $38,000 area, and now we're up. This formation structure we're seeing with the EMAs on the daily is absolutely beautiful. This is the type of price action that we do want to see. We want to see everything running upward. We want to see everything vertical. And the fact that we're now currently testing like $45,000 resistance, once we smashed above that back on February 8th, we ranged from about 45,000 to that swing high of about 65,000 for almost 100 days, for about 100 days before we had that coming crash down. So I feel like it's going to be pretty easy once we get above it to kind of sustain, go sideways a bit, and continue to do this type of price action. I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but at the same time, this build does have me a little bit pressed. So I am a little bit cautious when it comes to that. I'm going to be a lot more cautious and a lot more aggressive than I am before, just because of this bill. And also too, like looking at MACD and RSI, everything looks good. And another thing I want to say, as we talk about RSI is a lagging indicator, and RSI can stay an overbought or oversold for quite some time. So just because we hit and we start to break out and we start to get an overbought, or we start to break down and get an oversold, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It just means that we could potentially stay up there a long time or down there a long time before we get a reversal. So right now things are looking good. And me personally, like once we can establish some nice support back to where we did back around February 9th, I think that we will continue to climb and we will continue to do well. However, I am still advocating for people to be very cautious and to play these market swings very, very cautiously. That's all that I want to say.
Yeah, that was great. And the bill definitely, I'm sure, is looming over a lot of people's heads. But Gareth, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, so one of the things I'm going to show my screen here is this is something that I'm paying close attention to is just kind of the cycle work of the charts. So this is a picture of Bitcoin's move in 2013 into 2014, and you can see you basically ran from 100 up to 1250, down to 450, and then back to 1100 before it dropped back down to 100. So my concern is that we're repeating the patterns from past cycles, right? So, you know, this is just the 2013, 2014, but let's take a look quickly at the 2017 one, and bear with me as I bring that up. It's not letting me bring it up here. Let me flip that over again and show it again. So here's the chart of 2017, where we made that high pivot. So we went all the way to 20,000, and then you had this sharp drop within a few weeks, right, to 10,008. And then this massive move up to 17,002 before then it traded down all the way to 3,000. So that's kind of where I'm sitting here, is that this is a great move in Bitcoin, right? We've seen lately, but is it potentially just replicating these former cycle moves where, you know, this is kind of to lure in the bulls, get everyone bullish again, and then they're just going to wipe it out on the downside? I still have downside projected targets down to like 18 to 20,000. You know, we broke out of this near-term range of the 30 to 40,000 range, and I think we could go as high as 50 to 52,000. But overall, it does concern me a little bit that, you know, basically what would allay my concerns is if we could take out the all-time highs. You take out the all-time highs, then every past cycle of these that I'm showing, that no longer applies, right? So I think that's where I'm at.
Yeah, no, that's a great breakdown, and I'd be interested. We are getting some questions in the chat about how things might change if Ethereum were to decouple a little bit more. Say Ethereum breaks all-time highs, and so it's looking bullish like you're talking about, but Bitcoin still hasn't broken its all-time highs. Would you have a differing analysis for Ethereum versus Bitcoin in a scenario like that, or do you still think Bitcoin's going to lead the charge either way?
Yeah, I mean, Ethereum's really come in with a monster move in terms of its power. People are getting behind it in many, many ways. So I look at that and I honestly can't tell you which one's going to be the leader in the future. I think you got to be open to the fact that either one could take over based on DeFi and other things like that. So yeah, I think there will be a deleveraging event that will take both of them down. The question is which one will lead after that, and how low will they get when they fall?
Yeah, I like that. Deleveraging event that brings them both down, then who recovers better from that? That's pretty good. That's a pretty good analysis. So,
yeah, I would like to jump back and tell Gareth why he's wrong on his chart analysis.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, well, you know it's coming for sure. Believe it or not, I'm going to show some confidence on this one. I'm going to tell you you're dead wrong. So here's the thing. You've got numbers. You're looking at 18, 20,000. Hey, that's totally possible. After we go up to 100,000, we will see a huge retracement. When I see people looking back at the charts and taking the bear trap after the top of the market and using that as analysis and saying like, okay, well, obviously anytime we're going back up shortly after we hit an all-time high, well, it's got to be a bear trap and then we're going to go down. You've got the right idea, but your timeline is wrong. The idea that we've already peaked is wrong. When you look at that chart that you showed, it's a very clear difference in 2013, 2017, and what we experienced earlier this year. There's no blow off top like Wendy was showing on her chart. We had a swing range where we were going in between about $48,000 and $64,000. There was never another parabolic move, and we had a lot of corrections, but those corrections weren't very deep. But then we didn't have the swing bounce up that we had in previous cycles. If you look at every top bottom indicator we have, except for the pi cycle top, that's the only one which actually in 2013 showed two tops. So very similar to what we're going to get this time, it's going to turn out to be right as well. Every top bottom indicator we have shows that we haven't topped out. So the timeline is wrong. The idea is right. We are going to have that big drop, but it's going to come at the end of this year after we hit on.
Do you think? Sorry to jump in. I was just curious. Do you think that there's any validity to so if you look at the chart from 2013, 2017, it's so vertical, like you're talking about this blow off top. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's because the market, so it looks like a small cap chart, like that I trade small caps, these penny stocks, it looks like a meme stock. So you're talking about stocks that are relatively thin. Bitcoin was relatively new considering. Mm-hmm. And then you see this latest kind of period where so many more institutions are involved. It becomes much more institutionalized. So you have more back and forth. You don't think there's any validity to that?
Yeah, sure. There's diminishing returns to some extent. But think about this. The last bull cycle, we won't even talk about the first one because the returns were so insane, right? But the last one, Bitcoin, I think it was 17.8x'd its previous all-time high, okay? At 64K, we basically 3x'd our all-time high. That was it. There's certainly a bigger range for us to go to somewhere between 5 and 6, in my opinion. I think that would be consistent with the diminishing returns that you look at there. So I do think there is some truth to that, but we're still not to that point yet. The institutional money is controlling all this now. So there is that factor as well, and they've already determined where it's going to go. And that number is going to be somewhere in the $100,000 to $120,000 range, depending on how high the retail investors can push it. So we saw what we're seeing in this cycle is we're kind of seeing a merge between the first two cycles. And I think that's what we're going to see throughout history is that each, or the future, when we look back in perspective of history, what we're going to see from all these cycles is each one of them is going to kind of have their own thing that they're known for. 2013, 2014, known as like the double top cycle. You're going to have 2017 known as pretty much parabolic altcoin season. Then you're going to have this one that's going to be known for the gigantic manipulation in the very middle to make everybody think it's over and then just blast like a rocket out of nowhere.
There you go. Well, and speaking of manipulation and corruption, we're going to be transferring and institutions getting involved. We're going to be moving on to the bill and trying to not to get too political here, talking a little bit about some of the Janet Yellen allegations that are out there about some of the money she's receiving. Real quick, though, Wendy, did you have anything you wanted to add on that before we moved on?
The only thing I wanted to say is that I agree with what Ben is saying, but at the same time, we are like in a completely different market than we ever were. There's so many different factors at play, all this geopolitical stuff that's going on, plus the impending putting us all on groundation again, going to the stairs, head down at the table globally, and then all this stuff coming out with the new cryptocurrency bill. So I do see us kind of straight shooting up, but at the same time, like I don't want to bet against the bulls, but at the same time, it's okay to still operate with caution and to be like kind of a little bit weary as to what's going on, because I'm kind of scanning the market. It looks like we're starting to get some pullbacks with things. So I don't know, guys.
Scared money don't make no money.
No.
Scared money
Larry,
don't make no money.
Listen, Larry.
I learned that from CryptoFace.
Both of you are great.
Yeah, man, you're rolling the dough too, bro. Your confidence is secreting out of your pores, so I'm happy for you. But I'm the only reason why I'm hoping you're wrong is so I can see you in that beautiful Hamburglar suit. So that's the only reason why I want you to be completely wrong. Other than that, but I kind of gotta just quickly take kind of Gareth's side on this one. First off, Gareth is a god. If you don't know who he is, strongly suggest you check him out after this. But Bitcoin, if you look at Bitcoin's top, right, that it was at, you look at like the S&P 500 and higher cap assets or stock market, they do have rounded tops similar to what Bitcoin had, and also sharp drops too. But altcoins had that sharp drop. Ethereum looked exactly the same it did when it dropped 80-90%. So we'll see. Like I said, who knows? But yeah, man.
Well, no, and like Wendy was saying, it doesn't hurt to hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Like, of course, we all want it to go up. Nobody wants to root against the bulls. We all want positive price action, but you need to be prepared either way. But I tend, obviously, to agree with Ben on where I think things are going. So, but yeah, he probably has enough confidence.
In a room, you two.
Well, we have a room. No, but anyway, let's move on real quick to the Janet Yellen stuff. I mean, we talked a little bit about it today. It leads right into this infrastructure bill, or so, like somebody in the chat said, infrastructure bill. But we've got allegations. She received approximately $7 million in speaking fees just last year, most of which of those speaking engagements were done over Zoom. So, I mean, a lot of people are screaming corruption. And then she's coming in, that was directly from Citibank and Citadel, some of the largest proponents of obviously keeping the banking system in place the way it is right now. In this infrastructure bill, there's a lot of verbiage, specifically a few definitions on how they define a crypto broker. That is in that bill that's causing a lot of issues as far as how things are going to get handled here going forward. There was a lot of stuff going on back and forth over the weekend on Twitter with amendments trying to get things changed right before they voted. Then they pushed the vote to this morning or tomorrow morning, I believe. And then I think they did actually, I saw just before we came on here, come to some type of agreement. But before we get into all the bill and all that kind of stuff, I mean, Ben, we know you love Janet No Telling Yellen. Is there any way this is anything other than just straight corruption and lining the pockets of those who make the rules to make them in your favor?
No, let me be clear. Janet Yellen is a criminal. She's at the head of the financial cartel. Right beneath the central bankers, you have Janet No Telling Yellen. When you look at the level and depth of this corruption and you think that about who put her in charge of the Treasury, it is downright frightening. And the thing that really bothers me the most? It's their brazenness. It's the fact that she can be so brash to come out and pretend and lobby against this crypto amendment like it's for the good of the people, and it's just like the customer service tells you all the time, like, oh, it's for your own protection.
My least favorite phrase.
That's a lie. Like, that's a lie. And people are waking up. And let me tell you, there's no more woke community to what's really happening in the world than the crypto community. I know that I think me and Stash were talking about it this weekend when we were at Disneyland together. We were saying that, it's amazing. Like, all of my best friends, except for one, I met through crypto. And one, my best friend, like, we got into crypto together at the very beginning, in 2012. And so the fact is, there's a reason why people in crypto get along so well with other people in crypto. It's because we have the mask off the eyes, the blinders off, a better way to say it. We have the earmuffs off. We know what's happening. We see clearly what's happening. And there is not a worse community to pick a fight with like this over corruption than the crypto community, because we already know what's happening. We already know she's a criminal. We already know that she's under control from the banks. 1/3 of her entire net worth came this year from one bank and one hedge fund.
Yep.
How is this lady not locked up? And the fact is, she's making decisions for the American people. So it's real hard for me not to use language I don't like to use when I talk about this broad.
Yeah, she is the definition of everything that we are fighting against here in crypto. I think you said it well. There's a reason we all get along so well and have very similar mindsets when it comes to a lot of this stuff. So let me come to some of the other guests here. Wendy, what do you think, like Ben mentioned, like, we know this is the way they operate. We know this is just kind of standard procedure for them, but like, what is a proposed solution here? How do we fight this? Do we just get CZ or Justin's son to send millions of dollars to somebody else to make pro crypto regulation? I mean, what's the alternative?
So we have to be very careful who we have advocate for us, because there's a lot of crazy things that happen in crypto. I've been covering this massively. I've been advocating on every single one of my socials to call, to send emails, because this is important. The way that politics work is, unfortunately, we're the underdogs. We're the little guy. A lot of people don't want to listen to us. They don't care what we have to say. They don't want to take into consideration what we have to say, because at the end of the day, politicians are supposed to be they're supposed to be servicing different communities. They're supposed to be our voice. They're supposed to advocate for us. That's not the way that things work anymore. In order for us to really, really get change, we do need to band together. We need to drop all the petty BS, all the inner fighting that we have between each other in crypto. We need to, I don't want to say kind of find a leader and have them kind of lead us, but we need to advocate and call out the big names in crypto. Brian Armstrong, the people from Coin Center. There's a couple, Sam from FTX, like all these big names, we need to get them to come out and kind of advocate for us on our part, or on our behalf. I think that that's a positive way of a possible positive resolution that this may help. But right now, we really don't have a whole lot of people advocating for us. We really, really don't. And it's very frustrating to see. And I do think, like, even if you got a small account, you have a big account, you have to figure out how to get your voice heard, whether you're calling it, sharing it to friends and family. But realistically, these people, a lot of these people in politics, they don't have your best interest. They don't care about you. They don't care about your families. They want to implement laws to keep you and your family safe. But if you go to the hood, if you go to the ghetto, you'll see all of these payday loans on every single corner. And how is that protecting and keeping people safe? When you're offering predatory loans to specific groups and to specific peoples, and you're having those options available, when you're not allowing people to use DeFi and earn that 8% back, that 10% back. So we kind of really have to pay attention to what's happened. You need to be out there educating your community about Bitcoin, about traditional finance, about really what's going on. But we do need to figure out kind of a collective way on how to get our voices heard. And again, you guys keep calling, keep emailing, keep making noise, and stop voting these people into office. And another thing that just grinds my gears is it's not about just one party. All these guys are all on the same team. All these men and women, they are on the same team. Stop. Vote like third party in, or do something, but just really kind of pay attention to where the heck all of this money is coming from. Understand these people are not your friends. Don't bring other topics into it because you're so upset about X, Y, and Z happening. Focus on the task at hand here. And the task on hand here is essentially protecting our babes, protecting future generations, and laying the groundwork down so they can go ahead and thrive. I've got a 5-year-old. My daughter turned 5 last year, and I'm doing this. I'm so very passionate about it because I want her and her generation to thrive.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. It's all about the future, the next generation, and those who come after us, which is that's why we have to fight so hard. But it's still very frustrating, like you said. I mean, we don't seem like we have a lot of advocates for the crypto community right now, or digital assets in general. And it turns out most of the time that the people that probably could have the most weight if they were to speak to this are also very influenced by the money and the powers that be out there. So like when money is the primary motivator, it's really hard to find people that are totally removed from that. So I don't know, Gareth, CryptoFace, I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think we could, is there a case maybe where we could put together some kind of DAO or something like that, where it's low, where everybody could vote, everything's open, you could see where all the money is coming from? Because I feel like as long as there's people making rules and making decisions that have an impact economically, there's going to be people that are economically incentivized to make sure the rules get made in their favor, and they're going to continue to do it. So I'm just trying to figure out is like, how can we do, like Wendy said, like we've got to do something different. We can't just keep doing the same thing we've been doing, voting for the same people, calling your senators, and maybe they do something, maybe they don't. So do you think a DAO or anything like that is a plausible scenario, or just too far out there?
I'm going to defer to CryptoFace and then I'll come after. But CryptoFace, thank you for the kind words. Just to be clear, I have a lot of experience, and experience equals I lost a lot of money early in my career. I traded in the late 90s and early 2000s, way before crypto, and I learned my lessons hard, and that's where the experiences come. But I appreciate the kind words. Well,
no, and that's great. I mean, almost everybody on this channel, we've learned a lot from experience. So learn from our mistakes. Don't make the same mistakes we did. But go ahead. Yes. Go ahead, Face.
Yeah. Yes, totally same for me. First off, that's man, when I saw that, that's I mean, she blew away the Clintons. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to those speaking fees. I'll give her this. It's really annoying when you see politicians sell out for like 50 grand and sell out for cheap. So at least she's selling out big.
Amen.
And I mean, I wonder what they're working on, man. You get what you pay for. ATMs True. All across the country are no longer spitting out $100 bills. They start spitting out $50 bills, then they stop spitting out those and start spitting out $20 bills. When you go to the bank, I was at the bank and some lady comes in and she goes, I'm here to apply for a refinance. And the banker just straight said, I'm sorry, we don't offer that anymore. Like she didn't even check her credit. She said, so we don't offer that anymore, right? And the lady just like, oh, walks out of the bank. So, why are they holding on to cash so much? Everyone's talking about inflation, but they're holding on to their cash tight, and I'm talking about the big banks. So, she's selling out big. You get what you pay for, and TJ, you were right. That's the answer you gave is exactly what needs to be happening in reality. That more people have made money in crypto than anywhere else. I don't get why we can't be buying out some politicians for cheap. We don't need $7 million. We can throw $100,000 at a couple different senators and really make shit happen. Yeah. And so that's what we need to do.
Where they at, though?
We got to get a couple of boys. We can fucking make some shit happen ourselves. Excuse my language. I'm sorry.
No,
but if you either do it in blood or you do it in cash. Cash and blood. You know what I'm saying? So,
but do we really want to lower ourselves to that?
Yeah, because you're doing it for the greater go. You're doing it for the greater go. It's not lowering. You're buying off of politicians so we can have things go in our favor. That's the best thing we could do. We should be lobbying to these politicians ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So there ain't nothing wrong with it. Everybody else is doing it. Guns, cigarettes, coffee. There's good and bad lobbyists, right? So
fair enough.
We should be doing the same damn thing. Right now we got the Winklevoss brothers, and I'm not saying anything bad about them, but we need to start doing a little more, start greasing some wheels.
I'm with that.
Where's Mark Zuckerberg?
Like to interject.
Yeah, hop in, Gareth.
Sorry, let me just jump in. I just have one quick thing on this. I think it's important for us to also kind of keep in mind that let Wall Street be Wall Street. Let the bigwigs be the bigwigs. Don't think that they're not trying to talk down cryptocurrency so that they can load up the boat. So in many ways, you want them on your side pushing it, and then that's where you're going to see the massive gains. Like again, if you want the pension funds, I just saw there was one pension. I don't know if it was Chicago pension fund up 30% in the past year. I mean, for a pension fund, that is unheard of. You want them to buy 5% of their assets in crypto. You need to get certain regulations in line. You get certain regulations in line. That's when these pension funds, that's when these other big funds are going to feel comfortable enough to come in and buy crypto, and that's when you're going to see this massive upside explosion to it, where it can easily go to 500,000 or more. But again, a lot of what's going on now, I think it'll fix itself. Like Ted Cruz, he was out there, ripping this because since China clamped down on mining, you've seen a huge explosion in Texas. So now he wants the votes. He doesn't want them to crush those jobs, and he's going to fight against it. So I honestly think it will work out okay, and that hopefully what comes of it will be positive regulation. And no one likes regulation, but if you want other entities to buy into it and it become a wider held, asset, it's got to have some sort of regulation there. Yeah.
No, that's true, and you'll see always throughout time is if you follow the incentives, they do always balance themselves out, kind of like what you're saying. So when China makes a move and people see it leave and it's positive for Texas, they're incentivized, obviously, to encourage that behavior to continue. So speaking of incentives, hopefully you guys are incentivized to smash that like button. We've got 7,800 people in here right now, only 1,500 likes. If we could get that up over 4,000, that would be a huge help more people hear this valuable conversation, hopefully learn something and change their life for the better. That's why we're trying to do all this. So, and also we're going to move on to the last topic here, which kind of ties right into what you were just talking about, Gareth, as far as letting them make those gains, and then it comes to all of our benefit. We've got something we've talked about on this channel here for a while. It's something that's kind of been slowly developing in the background. The Exchange Circle, which is the creator of USDC, they're setting themselves up to be what they're calling a crypto bank. They're working very heavily with the Federal Reserve, the Office of the Comptroller, to be very closely aligned with the U.S. with regulation and things like that. I've said on this channel a lot that I think USDC will end up being the U.S.'s CBDC, and they're just going to slide that right in as the U.S.'s Fed coin, so to speak, rather than creating another one. So we've seen, and Circle, their number one investor, per person who owns the most equity in it, is Goldman Sachs, who is that traditional money. They've been operating in the background here with Circle for a while. I think they acquired Poloniex back in 2019. That's when I first started kind of watching them. So as Circle starts to make its play with USDC, it starts to get circulated more. Ben, do you think that will be the Fed coin at this point, or do you think they're going to try to go a different route with that?
It will be at first. I think eventually we will see one global currency, which still may be USDC. Strong opportunity to that. But look, this is happening. USDC is becoming the Fed coin. That has a lot to do with why we are seeing, once again, CryptoFace pointed out there, seeing everybody talking about inflation, but you're seeing the banks stop giving money to people. Why are they trying to hold on to their cash? People that watch this channel know we are in the fall heading to deflation. This will be a multiple year time period where the value of the dollar actually gets stronger, and USDC is going to play a big role in expanding the demand for the dollar by making it kind of borderless, and anyone can own it around the world. So, I mean, there's no question that that is the master plan, and that is what's happening. I don't think there's even a different possibility at this point.
And so let me open it up to the other.
And I got to tell you this, TJ.
Okay,
you were
tell
right.
me. I was right. Hey, yeah, that I know that was tough for you to say, but I appreciate it.
It was very hard.
From Ben, it's either I'm right or I know a guy.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
And sometimes
so that was
I'm
different.
The guy. Well,
TJ
maybe
I
was the guy.
Whoa. TJ's my guy.
Oh, okay. Point for that. But so let me come back to you then. CryptoFace, obviously you used Tether a lot in the past. Like, do you see DAI, some of these other ones, Tether, some of these other ones fading away? Like, do you think ultimately through network effects there will be one stable coin of choice on the crypto market, or do you think there'll always be several?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the Tether FUD articles were funded by the gold boys. You know what I mean? Although they absolutely, as of now, failed with Baloney X is what I call it. That was, I think, Goldman Sachs may kind of been like their first kind of big move into crypto. I could be wrong, and that exchange crashed and burned, and it was terrible. Everything else they seem to be doing pretty good. I know Circle, I believe, was like setting up like a merchant deal where businesses can use it to accept crypto and send crypto, but I think they like pulled back. They stopped it. They stopped it. So yeah, I mean, USDC seems to be kind of like just have a better gut feeling as far as trust. I don't really use Tether that much at all. This year I did, but yes, stable coins have always kind of been iffy on, but USDC seems to be coming in strong. And if you're going to go to bat, might as well go to bat with the old boys. So I'm down to get some USDC, maybe some Chinese, if they can make some Chinese stable coins, the Yuan C. I might be trying to get some of that too.
There you go. So, and don't you do some precious metal stuff too, right? Am I remembering that right? Yeah. So yes, I wanted to hear. I'm sure you're aware of kind of what happened on the gold charts over the weekend. You have any comments on that? For those of you who don't know, gold took a massive hit over the weekend, and a lot of people coming out saying it's more or less failed as a hedge against inflation, with the dollar, the runaway inflation on the dollar, and then gold being more or less down. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, there's first off, there's a lot of factors right now that kind of have everything in the haywire. The corporate like profit reports did good this quarter. I think that probably, I'm not freaking out about gold as much as, like eventually sometime things got to go down. The stock market has to go down. Eventually things have to end. It's not ending. They keep printing and everything keeps going up. And so I'm not surprised that gold's struggling down a little bit. It wasn't too long ago where you saw the videos of everyone in Asia, all over Asia, standing in line buying gold when it was at 2,000. And so they got to get dumped on for a little bit. I've always been saying for a long time that gold getting over 2,000, I think it's going to be tough because 70% of the trades are from the top 3 banks, and they own too much of it. And so it's going to be really hard, in my opinion, to get gold past that. But I like gold, and I like my metals, and perhaps I might buy some more while these prices are down and have my doubloons.
There you go. Good idea. Let me come to you, Gareth, with this one. I know you've got a lot of experience with the traditional markets and kind of alluding to what CryptoFace was just talking about with the top 3 banks owning most of the gold. We know there's, major players like JP Morgan in the silver market that hold a huge majority and a lot of manipulation there. Now we're seeing this big money coming into crypto, accumulating a lot of Bitcoin. So what do you say to the person who says, oh, this is just going to be like every other valuable asset? The big money's going to accumulate it. It will centralize with the major central banks, central players, and then we're just going to be in the same manipulation game with Bitcoin that we are with gold and silver and some of those other assets. Do you have any reply to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall gold, you have to have some gold in your portfolio. I know people always just want to do the crypto side, but diversification is a huge thing for anyone that has significant assets, just for safety concerns. One thing to note on gold here real quick is if you look at the drop in gold, it actually is the exact opposite chart of Bitcoin. And what that tells us is, so basically you have multiple down days in gold. And if you look at crypto, right, if you look at Bitcoin, you have multiple up days in a row. And they're precisely in the opposite direction, which again tells you that gold has seen sellers to buy cryptocurrency, to buy gold. And again, that rotation we saw earlier in the year as well, with gold going down when Bitcoin was making its all-time highs, and then gold started to stabilize and do better. So I think that's exactly what's going on here. My thought process is that eventually gold will start to move in the same direction to the upside with crypto once people start to see the stock market decline. So I still think you're going to see a bigger dump on cryptos overall in the short term. Eventually they will recover, and you'll have the digital gold and you'll have physical gold, and they'll both start to move up as people are exiting those stocks, right? And the market is just overinflated margin control or margin debt levels and so forth. So yeah, overall gold, it will head higher longer term. You just got to kind of deal with this inverse relationship with cryptocurrencies, with the big banks controlling it. I mean, I try not to put too much stock in that. Yes, that's true, but I just look at the longer term fundamentals. Just like with cryptocurrency, I think it's, even though short term downside, still lots of upside long term. The same thing with gold. I don't know where Ben's coming up with the deflationary thing. All I know is the Fed keeps printing more and more money left and right. Every time that we look like we're going to have lower than 2% inflation, they're like, all right, here's another 100 billion every month. Let's just print it and push it into the economy. So the Fed is going to fight tooth and nail to not allow deflation. And my fear is you get the opposite, which is the long-term bull case for Bitcoin and gold, which is you just have this hyperinflation scenario where you want to be in anything but dollars.
Yeah, there you go. Well, do you want to comment on your deflation theory, Ben?
Yeah, once again, Gareth, you're clearly wrong. That's all. I don't want to back it up with any support or any evidence. Look, we're already seeing the bond yields dropping. I mean, you're seeing the evidence. You're seeing the banks cutting credit lines. The big news was the Wells Fargo personal credit lines, but I actually know for a fact
those are big trading boy, big boy bonds and stuff. There you go, Ben. There you go.
There you go. Yeah, big boy bonds. Know what the bond market is these days.
Bonds,
Let's go trade some bonds. I like it. But we're already seeing not only is Wells Fargo cutting personal lines. I know for a fact that my best friend is in the car business, and they cut his business credit line just earlier this year. So I mean, just a couple months ago. So we're already seeing this start coming to fruition, where these banks are not wanting to let go of their money. You got to ask yourself why. All the narrative throughout the rest of the fall is going to be inflation, Bitcoin, gold. Look, they're getting ready to pull the rug. So, yeah. I mean, other than just telling you it's going to happen, it's going to happen.
I'm just confused.
Can I add on that real quick? I kind of believe in the deflation thing when the stuff hits the fan. Like when the stuff hits the fan and it's a big flash crash, max exodus, like shit is hitting the fan. That's where I believe like the deflation thing can come in, when everyone's trying to get out of their overvalued Tesla stock that's going right down just right down to the shitter. Same with crypto, and everyone's trying to get in the dollar. That's what I think would be deflationary if it happens, when it happens.
I definitely agree it's going to happen, right? You're going to get this flush out, which will make people poorer, and then they'll have less money to spend. Prices can come in that way. But I guess my question is so do we just expect the Fed to roll over and not print any more money forever? I mean, every time we get in some sort of crisis, it could be any crisis, the Fed's like, oh, well, we'll just print, another $1 trillion or $2 trillion.
Well, they know they
yeah,
can't
but it might
do
not
that
be the
anymore.
Fed. Like, it could be something else that causes the crash. Like a cyber attack. I'm not gonna try to go too crazy, but like I feel like there could be something else where the electricity's out or something. And I mean, we've gotten our oil pipelines hacked, we've gotten our electric stuff hacked. Like I think when stuff hits the fan, I'm sorry about cursing earlier too, man.
No, you're good.
Like it can crash, and the Fed can't do like printing money ain't gonna save our electricity. That's just one scenario.
So
that
CryptoFace, that sorry, not just to jump in, that's a great scenario of why you should have some physical gold, right? Because if the whole network goes out, what do you do with your Bitcoin, right? So for those people out there that are just like 100% Bitcoin or crypto, maybe just have a little bit of gold on the side so you can chip it off and
stop showing your gold,
bread.
Peter Schiff.
Yeah, you can get the little gram. They're like Hershey bars. Like you really want to break them because there's just a bunch of little rectangles, and so some of those, you when you're out there in the concrete jungle, you barter with some old man with a little bitty gold piece. You tell him it's the last you got.
Yeah. This little tooth right here. Gold tooth.
You can still mine for gold at Knott's Berry Farm.
That
right?
too.
That's right. You can.
Oh, listen to this though. Listen to this. My brother actually came up with this incredible idea last night. Listen. Everything's moving to, where all the extra energy and all your appliances one day are going to be mining crypto. A guy just created a toilet that mines crypto. That's a true story. Check that story out. We should probably cover it on the live stream tomorrow. My brother said, well, what about this? What about when you're able to mine crypto from gold mining rigs? Boom.
Boom. Well,
I
was going to ask about that toilet. Does it only mine S coins?
That's a good one.
I was going to ask what's the energy source that's powering that toilet?
I think it's your feces.
What, you guys? You know what? I'm almost done with the potty training here. Let's stop right now.
Yeah.
By the way, Wendy, real quick. People have noticed that there's a wardrobe malfunction. There's currently a nip slip going on with Yoda, Baby Yoda in the background.
Oh no!
I saw that on the comments. Yeah,
how revealing.
He's showing a little skin. Does Baby Yoda have a nipple? I mean, I guess all animals have teats, right?
Yeah, you might have.
You can milk a cat. I think I heard. So.
Well,
you know what? Baby Yoda's vibing today. It's hot outside. It's in Southern California. We didn't have time to go back to the pool. He's vibing because I lost a little bit of money last night, so he's selling it back there.
Just enjoying the sun today. Well, there you go. No, let's wrap it back up. I mean, I think what you guys were talking about with that deflation there towards the end was really good. I think the scenario CryptoFace pointed out, believe it or not, is not that far-fetched. It might seem a little crazy, but they are actually doing testing and planning for a scenario just like that, kind of like what they did before the big pandemic hit. So, if you're looking at history.
Oil, too. I'm sorry, I got to say it. Oil. Ever since November, oil's been murdering it for me. Sorry, I had to throw it in there. Oil too. You got to get some oil too.
Well, and the point I wanted to make is one thing to keep in mind is they can turn that printer off just as fast as they turned it on. So when the pandemic hit, they started printing money like crazy. Interest rates started dropping like crazy. They can turn that printer off. The interest rates can start going through the roof. And like Ben and Face were talking about, they will, they won't be making loans to people. They'll be forced to sell assets because things are dropping and they need cash. Everybody moves back into cash. Nobody wants to give it up. So a deflationary case could definitely happen much faster than a lot of us are thinking. But that's all we have time for today. We really appreciate all you guys hanging out. We do this every weekday, Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. It looks like we've got Gareth with the most points today. So Gareth, you've got 30 seconds to leave the audience with a parting thought before we go. Take it away.
Watch the 52.5 to 50,000 level on Bitcoin, and if it can break through there, it has a shot at the all-time highs. Otherwise, watch for it to come back down. I'll keep my fingers crossed for everyone that's long, and I thank you guys for having us today, and it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, as always, thank you to all the guests for joining us today. We always have a really good time doing this show. We'll be back, like I mentioned, 5 o'clock tomorrow Eastern Standard Time. DZ will be back in the seats tomorrow night, so we'll see you guys soon. That's all we have for today. TJ out.